Tack, tack. Let's go. We're into our fourth game with the night. We've got a game. It's a banger. It's BTXL versus Tricked. It is the battle for first place in Group A. Obviously, there is another team sitting at 3-1, but Tricked and BTXL will be duking it out for that first place spot right now. And again, people have levied some criticism towards BTXL in their start towards the NLC. It has not been pitch perfect for them. And Tricked have been surprising. I think if you ask Gulbo, he would say not surprising at all. It'd be the most amazing team that he's ever seen in his life. But I think
was that your attempt of pronouncing my name in Danish?
Gulborg. Oh, Denmark for helvete.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's good enough for me. I'll take it out. Scoundrel, you're amazing. All right, picks and bans.
Okay. Trouble, you're muted. Trouble, you're muted. No one can hear you on stream.
Hello. Oh, that's great. That's great. Hello. Welcome. Welcome.
You've done a
for BTXL, there has been like a lot of criticism around how they're playing, you know, reaching the EU Masters finals, almost taking down K-Corp, and then coming back and sort of not doing that hot, like barely winning games, coin flipping some others. I feel like this iteration of BTXL is taking a lot more risks than the previous iteration of BTXL. And this is something that we criticized them for last year, where the early game would be a little bit more toned down, and then they would turn on the engine mid to late game. Right now, I see a BTXL that wants to go pedal to the metal from the very first minute, and we see this from picks for hat-tricks. Marcoon is a lot more, kinetic all around the map. So I do like this iteration of BTXL. It's still early into the split. They're still doing great, but if they can manage to experiment with what they're doing and get their early game going, especially in this meta that is so explosive, I think it could be really good for them.
Yeah, on the side of BTXL, you can clearly see who they're targeting here on this side. Obviously, Madly has been playing a lot of Lee Sin, and on to the side of Poulsen, Lucian was just his go-to champion for the first two games, where it's very much about taking priority in the lanes for Trick. So I expect a lot of solo lane spend. I expect the last one to be a solo lane as well. I even expect the first pick from Trick to be a solo lane as well, just because they are using a lot of that momentum and the pressure they get from the solo laners to accelerate or facilitate the rest.
Oh no. Gwen is open, Viego is open, Varus is open, everything's open.
A lot of power picks here. Now, would Madly be the kind of person that would... Obviously, we can see Taxa play it in the jungle. I don't know how much Gwen we've seen mid, but I know it's been sort of very heavily gravitating towards top side. But Karma is the initial lock-in for Tricked right now.
This is such a clever pick, especially if Taxa is thinking to go onto a matchup that is really bad into something like the Rumble. And Karma is just such a huge counter to Rumble, because with the first item that's going to be Surrealius, you pretty much negate the entirety of that ultimate coming out. We completely... There you go. I just love first pick Karma just for that reason, because they knew that Marcoon was going to grab the Rumble here.
Here's the thing, the Nocturne together with the Rumble, it's just like this Exodia composition we get a lot, especially in ERLs right now, where you lock them down with Nocturne, you slow them with the Equalizer, and in general, it's just really hard to keep your backline safe. So from the side of BTXL, I'd love to see a lot more onto that stylistic, where it's all about going in and going ham. And then from the side of Trick Esports, if you're not willing to handshake that kind of skirmish, well, maybe you need some disengage then. Maybe you need something that can draw off the fights. You already have the Karma, you already have the skirmish potentially get with the Sinsao and the ultimate that can be good for disengage. Now you just need the rest of your key components. Now you could go onto the AD carry, you could log onto any support if you want that right now. I could love for them to just honestly go for the AD, keep the flex and Karma alive, and then just let it roll from there.
And that's going to be what they do. They're keeping that flex on Karma left up and available. Will be Tristana, who does have a bit of self-peeling in her kit. Plenty of self-peeling in her kit, realistically. A good way of dealing with dive pressure coming out from the BTXL comp, which is looking like that Rumble Nocturne combo, very heavy dive onto the back line. As Trouble did correctly say, though, you know, Karma with that empowered Mantra Shield can be very good at dealing with Rumble engages. But XL, they've chosen a style and they're sticking to it. The Leona gets locked in here for Advian.
They're just clearly going for the all-ins right here. Now Trick has to take out, engage, slash, dive in ADCs, something like the Kai'Sa, potentially something like the Varus, get out there, something that Deadly can completely pop off on. And I know that the Kai'Sa is not necessarily doing well into the Tristana, but compositional-wise, it does really fit them. Now, something that I've been scratching my head about is that Gwen is still open in the LEC. We saw the Gwen versus Nocturne matchup, and it was Gwen favored due to her Shroud. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them both sort of contesting that pick. And if Trick doesn't want it, they should technically ban it away, because Hadrix has played Nocturne in the past, and he could very well take that Nocturne in the mid and put Aroma onto something like the Gwen.
Yeah, here's the thing. There is still a lot of solo options available here from the side of BTXL, and Akali is still being one of these options. That's a lot of backline dive coming in. And with Akali, you actually get to slow some of the fights down as well, if you'd like to do that with your Shroud. It gives you some extra breathing room, so I would definitely expect that to be a ban from the side of Trick, or else they might just fourth pick it from the side of BTXL.
I'm on the other side, where I don't hope that BTXL do go for the Akali here, because Tristana plus Zinza plus Karma is just such a bait for Akali to go into the backline. She gets thrown out, and even if she does manage to get back in, then there's the buckshot, then there's the jump, then there's the Karma shields. There's just so much potential for like safety, where I'm like, yes, Hadrix is an amazing Akali, but unless you get rolling in the early game, then your mid to late is going to be extremely hard to execute.
Well, they ban it.
Oh, there you go.
So there we go. They are respecting the fact that the Hadrix Akali coming through. I mean, we saw him in European Masters. He actually found himself on Akali a little bit in the European Masters and kind of started smurfing on people. So they are going to respect that coming through. BTXL now waiting for, I mean, I think the AD carry lock in here is the smart decision. Obviously, you don't know exactly where Tristana is going, because that's why they've been banning away the Senna, for instance. But the Viego comes through, so very heavy dive potential, very heavy execute reset potential coming in from BTXL.
Gwen's still open.
Gwen is still open, yeah.
Here's the thing, in an interview with Odo, where he actually was the one piloting Nocturne, he felt the laning phase is very much in Nocturne favor against Gwen, so I think that's kind of what's stopping Trick to go for the Gwen here. What he can outskill on side, obviously, we know what Gwen can do on 2 items. On the other hand, though, there's still a lot of good range matchups you can go into this, but you are lacking in the AP department unless you start putting Karma mid and put that Jace up towards the top side of the map. So AP top laners, I don't know what Matley really plays here. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I'm sure Trick has got a plan for this one.
We'll wait and see what they decide. As you said, look, Gwen may not have a good laning phase, but clearly has the ability to scale up really nicely. But it will be a Karma solo lane here, so likely Karma top, but obviously can switch between Jace and Karma very readily. And we'll see the Braum come through for that disengage, that protection, trying to keep that Tristana as safe as physically possible here. We'll see where BTXL choose to go. If Sivir, clearly you're giving yourself a little bit of a tiny bit of a late game out, but that ultimate will be the more impactful thing for following up on the Nocturne dives, for instance. That would be a very deadly pick.
Yes.
Yeah, Jin's a similar role, right? You just pop your ultimate, so you don't need to follow up as an individual, but your bullets can.
Yeah, we got to see some of it in the LEC as well. It's something Korea started picking up. I think they were the first region that started playing Jin again. And honestly, it just makes so much sense. You have a meta right now where it's so solo lane driven, so heavy backline driven. So why not just let your AD carry be that caster who's sitting with a deadly flourish, or who's sitting with the curtain call in the back to help out those solo laners? Getting the resets for Viego is going to be absolutely crucial.
Also, I don't see anyone from Trick ever being able to reach a Jin for the reasons that Goldberg just mentioned. And even though everyone's going to be diving in, the Viegos, the Rumbles, the Nocturnes, the Leonas, everyone, especially when the paranoia goes down, no one's going to be able to see the Jin, never mind him being completely far out of this this fight. So I think Trick, they have put themselves into more of a skill matchup rather than a composition matchup, and I do really like what BTXL have put out.
Yeah, I would guess that the Trick's idea is that they survive the dive, disengage, and then fight, basically pick off people one by one. But I will have to see how it goes. Now, our casting pair is the equivalent of Two-Face from Batman. One side is a total car crash, and the other side is an absolute beauty. I'll let you guess which one, but P.S. Jake is the car crash.
Wow. Okay.
He's done you there.
Word I can't say you, scoundrel. let's get ready to go into our game and talk away from that car crash of a throw as we get ready to talk about Tricked versus BTXL. BTXL have had, they've won most of their games bar one, but I don't think they've really shown us the second place EU Masters BTXL yet. I think, like it was said at the beginning of the day, it's now time. They have to return to form. They've had 3 weeks, get back onto form.
Yeah, I think after last week, it's pretty justified to be feeling pretty critical of any performance BTXL put down, especially in the next sort of 2 weeks. So, like you say, I want to see something kind of assertive here, and they've got the kind of comp to do that. I think for Tricked, for me personally, this is going to be it's a compositional clash of BTXL want to move forward realistically, Tricked want to try and have Paulson lay down some poke, but primarily be moving backwards away from these engages and try and bait BTXL into sort of disadvantageous positions like some chokes here and there.
This, interestingly, is actually the first Viego we've seen in the top lane in the NLC. We had Viego mid in the first week, a couple of times actually, but since then it didn't get played in the second week, and this is the first time we see it go in the top lane. So we'll see how Remy can pilot this champion. Did obviously see Adam in the LEC pull it out top lane last week, so has always been a flexible pick. We talked about it in week 1 when it was picked, that it was flexible, and Hat-Trick's on the Nocturne in the mid lane. See exactly how this is going to go as well, because mostly we're seeing the Nocturne in the top side. So, seeing a bit of things getting swapped around there.
Yeah, I think just trying to go into matchups where, realistically, I think BTXL want to try and get mid lane priority. Obviously, Nocturne can trade out his HP pool to do that, even into a champion like Jace, I would imagine. So, I would imagine I'm putting that down as the reasoning why we're seeing the lane assignments that we are getting here out of BTXL. And Taxa curiously going to be pathing out towards the top side first, which for me strikes a tad strange. I feel like you'd want to play towards this Tristana Braum on your first pathing, but perhaps maybe thinking that you have priority from the top side as well. So if he can secure the Skull Crab on spawn, and then having mid lane priority might be able, or if he can get mid lane priority out of Paulson, potentially can look for a double skull.
We do see that instant mid lane priority picked up there by Hat-Trick.
Yeah, that's the thing. With Nocturne, it's going to be really difficult. So let's see what Taxa has in mind with that jungle pathing.
The moment, did see a nice little trade there for Trick. Nothing really too significant. Taxa was spotted out by the ward, but Hat-Trick has just placed down. So they have this information to work with, and Hat-Trick's just constantly shoving the waves into Paulson, and then can just move and try and track where Taxa is to make sure Marcoon can kind of constantly work with the information on where Taxa is on the map. Now, both the junglers are clearing in opposite directions from one another. So Marcoon is on the bottom side of the map right now. Did go straight from his chicken camp towards his blue buff.
Very interesting pathing. It's definitely going to be a little bit slower on tempo, just because of the way that, you're not clearing camps quickly per se.
Less efficient.
It's less efficient.
So to me, this screams that maybe they want to skirmish this top crab. Because he's going to be his 4th camp here.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got mid lane priority. So I actually think Marcoon wants to try and contest this.
Yeah, that's got to be the thought process, I think, here. You've got a lot of mid lane priority. Well, HP pools being traded back and forth. Paulson probably on the worst end, realistically, when you think about Nocturne having Corrupting Pot. And of course, all the sustain, you'll see auto attack, 108 HP.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, so despite the pathing, Marcoon going to be losing out on top skull, and Tax's actually going for a reset instead of going towards the bottom side. And it doesn't have priority at the moment, but yeah.
This is bizarre pathing by Marcoon, actually, because he's kind of just going up and down. This is like the most inefficient pathing I've seen. I assume it's because they wanted to contest Crab, but I think he was a little bit slow to the punch on that one. He'll get a Crab at the end of the day, but I'm not sure what we make of that. It's a little bit of trading here in the bot lane. The Crab was secured by Marcoon now, and he can finally go finish up his Krugs.
And his second spawn chickens. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Marcoon had some pretty spectacular pathing in spring. So I'll just chalk it up to we are quite literally just inferior and don't understand the ways of this legendary man.
Our brains are too small to comprehend.
Oh, he landed it.
He
can
did
go.
land it.
Look at the
Taxa's
dash
going
range.
straight in. Deadly does have a flash if he needs to throw it down. He's going to have to. Taxa flashes into him. The heal comes out.
Got it.
Deadly's low. That's going to be enough. But the Zenith played by Advian to lock him underneath the tower. Taxa's and Paulson going for a fight. Taxa's burning low to the ignite. A little bit more is all that's needed. Advian gets knocked off. No, the healing, but the tower shot is there. Taxa, he'll take that. 2 for 1.
Yeah, and in the mid lane as well, Paulson lost his flash to Hatrix, so we have to be a little bit cautious of that one. I wonder if Hatrix is actually going to go for an all-in. Is he feeling it? He wants to.
He's got the fear, he's got the flash, but he's not going to pull the trigger. Just playing with Paulson's heart right now as Lucky's here, and Hatrix might not be feeling quite so lucky now.
No. And going to just make his way out. Doesn't commit the flash. Would have been... No.
I mean, yeah, reset. Like, this is so rough here. He's gonna have to miss the wave. Taxa gonna be pretty happy about picking up this mid wave. Yeah, he is. I thought he was walking into the river for a second. Yeah, gonna pick up this mid wave just to make sure that there's no resources lost. But with this information, Marcoon starting up the dragon with Advian, so that should just be a pretty free pickup as Taxa paths up to his top camps. But man, getting aggressive in the bot side. You saw the changes come into effect there with Xin Zhao. It's very rare that you actually see, I feel like in pro play, whenever we see Xin Zhao, we never get to quite see those max range audacious charges. Yeah.
When it becomes lightning. And that was one of those cases where the change actually made a lot of things just occur. Deadly no sums now, Advian no sums. So, you know, could be recipients of a return gank. Realistically, when you think about Tristan and Braum skirmishing being so powerful. Orome has level 6.
Yeah, he does have that Heartbreaker. I think Mandy was able to dodge away on the Blade of Ring King there from Orome, so he's okay. But Mandy has to be careful. The Tether is going to connect, and he might look for a little bit of bonus damage. Jungler's in the area. Hatrix has that paranoia. The stun's getting charged up, and Mandy just about able to dodge that on the cusp of it.
You know, we had this conversation. There's a lot of pings going down, so maybe I have to wait. I'm not too sure. It looks like Paulson might be bullied here as Orome.
He has the ulti, got the invisibility, and he's going to be out of there.
Yeah, the healing pretty obnoxious. Mandy's running out of mana. He's got 2 biscuits, though. He's got 2 biscuits.
Yeah. Okay, he's
all right, I like this.
Is he just baiting Orome into this? I can't tell what's happening here.
If this is a bait, it's the longest bait in the world. As Orome just going to hold on to the wave. Yeah, Marcoon's on his way. No.
He cancelled the recall. No, he's not.
Was he on a ward? He walked over the...
No, that was his own ward.
No, he walked over the skull.
Oh.
Marcoon. Unless he blast coned into Herald, then you can use the cheeky pathing to avoid it.
I probably should have paid more attention to the minimap. I missed that entirely.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And XL, whilst all of these shenanigans in the top side was occurring, which we got to witness firsthand, they were trying to eye up a 4-man onto Paulson. Unfortunately, weren't able to pull the trigger there.
Well, the reset's coming in from the top lane. We were getting very excited about absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
There we go. As Orome is building his own weapon.
Yeah. As Hatrix pretty much had lane priority start to finish, as kind of expected. It's just how Nocturne works, really. Just trade out the HP bar for prio, and after the earlier shenanigans, we'll call it that, Paulson just hasn't really been able to have much autonomy in this lane. He's not really had any control. It's all been in Hatrix favored. Secured BTXL their first dragon. See if they can make anything more happen. Marcoon's on the bottom side, so he's not going to be here for this Herald startup, but solo lane's doing their job here. Though Orome potentially in trouble.
I think he's okay. He's got a lot of health lost, actually, but he's okay. He's got the Vampire, because now Hatrix is getting jumped onto. Will eat up the Winter's Bite, so no slow for him, but does take a fair amount of health. As XL are collapsing here for a potential fight. The curtain is opened up, and they're looking for it. The paranoia is on. They've got the equalizer. This is their opportunity to go for it, but not willing to pull that trigger quite yet here. As there's the engage, there's the turnaround. The equalizer's laid down as already Advian jumps straight onto the back line. Trick's health bars are low, but Advian will lose his life straight away. Has to jump away. Then Boxney is looking for a tidy up. You can't spell shield that one, friendo. And XL just not willing to kind of snap their fingers and go for it and just die for nothing.
Yeah, you have to go hard, really, if you want to make something work properly here. There wasn't no level 6, I think. The key thing here for Advian, and even Lucky, really, no Glacial Fissure, but a Solar Flare could have definitely helped in terms of making a snap engage actually happen.
Yeah.
But no Paranoia really actually pulled in.
Well, they used the Paranoia and then did nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of just a bit of the strength of the Tricked composition coming through when you talk about into this BTXL composition. Once they're all on top of each other, you've got the Mantra Shields, you've got all of the concussive blow stack cups, especially when you're talking about 3 ore attacking champions on the side of Tricked. You can really make use of the Brawn passive quite well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's just Karma being irritating.
By the way,
but
this is a Karma building Moonstone.
it could be Shirelia's.
Oh, it could be Shirelia's, actually. Yeah, you're right. This is a Karma building a support item. Anyway,
Yep.
let's have a look at the action here in the mid lane, in the Rift Herald, sorry.
Yeah, so BTXL, they approach the Rift Herald. They do have, they don't actually have first move out of the top lane, but you can see Paranoia gets popped and no one really does anything. Advian Hex flashes forward but doesn't actually commit with a Zenith Blade. And then that's when Taxa just goes, to hell with it, I'm going to go in. He knocks back Hatrix out of the fight practically. Advian bursted down in the middle of the team and Hatrix commits too far forward after not having Paranoia anymore. And flashes away to no avail. Just a bit of indecision, I suppose, from BTXL. They knew that they wanted to contest, but there just didn't seem to be an angle for them to attack properly. Tricked come out ahead in the exchange. Got 1,000 gold lead, Herald in their back pocket with a dragon spawning. You imagine they can actually have the proper setup here, clear out all of this vision, play it out through mid, clear the wave.
And one thing to kind of hit on the waves is, sure, we were talking that you have got a Nocturne. Nocturne has pretty solid wave clear, but like that's range wave, melee wave clear. Anyway, fight's breaking out. Deadly looking to jump away as Taxa is trying to get his way out as the Solar Flare lands, and Advian will lose his life. Arome has joined the fight though. He'll start stealing away some forms as the curtain has been called. In comes the Heartbreaker by Arome. It's a double kill already picked up for Denvoxney though, as Arome stealing away form after form. That is going to be all she wrote on that.
2 for 2 at the end of the day, but it seems like XL are going to be the ones with access to the dragon, though I'm not sure entirely whether Taxa's quite done yet. He's waiting in the bottom side of the river. Yeah, he's just clearing out vision. All right, never mind. Well, second dragon going over to BTXL. Looks like they might try and put the Herald down as sort of a consolation prize here, but XL are in the area. They wanted to respond to it, but I think they're just going to let the Herald charge out. We've got the replay on our screen, of course. And Advian is bursted down, but it's kind of just where you see Arome start to get form after form. Curtain Call comes down, and Hatrix does a pretty good job of taking Lucky down to a low enough HP threshold that Arome can show up and also steal his form, but can't go any further with that one. And 2 for 2. Still the name of that fight. So at the end of the day, relatively even trade. Technically up in gold value if you want to include the back end of the play of the plates going over to then Voxnay and Taxa. So kind of no harm, no foul. Just stuff exchanged. Just keeping track of summoners really, which the side of Tricked, most of them are up or coming up very shortly.
We got the Rift Herald not quite up yet. It was only just here, so they got a bit of time. No dragon, so this is a bit of free time for XL because they're the ones who are down right now. It's on Trick to try and be proactive with their plays. They picked up a bunch of plates in the bot lane, gave that gold over to Denvoxney. He's finished up his Kraken Slays, 2-0-2 right now. The lead over Deadly, and it's kind of harks back to, we wanted to see XL kind of be more decisive, more, you know, go back to that form of, you know, the strongest team we have. But at the moment, not able to find that. And Tricked are really, really punishing them.
Yeah, they are indeed. And you say Tricked, you know, you want to maybe see them be a bit proactive with this lead now. I don't think they have to with the composition that they have.
True.
I think the scaling aspects are pretty okay when you talk about Jace, Karma Tristana. And even Xin Zhao, despite the tank build, is going to scale pretty fine into what is realistically a very short-range composition from BTX. So he's always going to have people to hit and people to life still up on. And he's just going to be a nuisance as well. So BTXL, I think, are the ones that need to, you know, put a little bit more agency into their gameplay. Try and find some picks on the side lane. It doesn't have to be all-out team fights. You can find, even if it's the Karma on the side lane, but realistically, you want to try and eye up these shutdowns, I think, on Taxa and then Voxnay. inject some gold into one of your carries.
Well, looks like Trick might have found a little bit of poke on Davian. I'm itching for this action. I'm itching for this fight, but looks like XL not giving up quite yet as Deadly just trying to catch these waves, but Denvoxy's doing some serious damage to this tower. We're seeing that Kraken Slayer also coming in. Denvoxy with the item advantage over Deadly. I mean, everybody has a full item on the side of Tricked, other than the supports, but, you know, that's what you get for playing support, I guess.
Yeah.
Aroma, the only player with a finished up item with that Blade of the Ruined King.
Yeah,
I think before that Deadly Flourish had landed.
Potentially. Oh, that's a really nice song, by the way, of the Jiddle.
Yeah, I just realized.
I was just thinking.
Is that the world song?
Yeah, I guess so. As XL, they're trying to force the tower down. The next mini wave is going to come in, and they will get no one here from Trick to respond because then Voxnay just shoved out the bottom side. And moving up in towards the top lane too. Herald isn't spawning just yet though, so there isn't going to be a Herald off the back of that. Just going to get a resell. So mid lane, tier 1, down for Trick, taken by XL, is going to open up the map in a pretty impactful way, especially when you talk about XL. They've pretty much habitually had lane priority in the mid lane, so a little more freedom on the map certainly isn't going to hurt. As Jake. Jake's that time of the day again.
Goldborg always gets me to read the news, but yeah, head over to KitKat Gaming, get yourself some skins, baby. Also, while you're at it, head over to NLC lol and enter our player of the day, and you can also get yourself honestly a metric buttload of RP.
Yeah, that's a lot. What's that right now? 2,800, I think, was the number per person at the moment. Per person. I think.
Per person. Yeah, because the grand prize, the pool is like. I'll head over to NLC LOL on Twitter right now and let you know. NLC LOL, baby.
As Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, and I imagine XL want to fight for this, despite the gold deficit that they currently find themselves in. You want to try and keep this snowball pressure high on the neutral objectives on the Dragons. And they're going to have mid lane priority for now, and first move out of the bottom side. Well, this wave is kind of a bit of a dud, so we'll have to see. The Herald is going to be dropped, so that's going to be pressure. It's something that XL have to respond to.
Yeah.
Now Tricked actually going to have positioning in front of the Dragon first now. It's going to be XL that have to reclaim this territory if they want it. That's going to be dangerous. Yeah, Herald was also able to charge. It's going to be hard for XL. They've got to find a really good flank. They've got to find then Voxnay somehow off of all of these long-range ultimates. Otherwise, they are certainly going to struggle. Here we go.
Paranoia is on. The equalizer's laid down as the curtain call is there, but Hatrix in the wrong position. Jumps onto Lucky to taxi back towards his team. The solar flare goes wide, and XL just burn everything and gain nothing. They are looking scattered. They're looking confused. They're looking lost in this game. And Tricked, they're cool, they're calm, and they're collected as they're able to take themselves their first dragon of the game.
And quite frankly, it's just the strength of the Tricked composition into BTXL's on full display right there, despite the equalizer, the curtain call, the paranoia. Every single engage ultimate was blown and nobody lost HP. And it wasn't like these ultimates were poorly used per se, but there was just no way to actually follow up on anything. And trades in the bottom side, taxes here. Heartbreaker missed though.
I mean, that champion!
Oh my god.
Paulson? Rome?
I mean, yeah, he can't go backwards. He can't go backwards. He can't go backwards. It's fine. He can't go backwards. Taxel's there.
Yeah.
Taxel's there.
He got a little bit too over eager there, though.
Yeah, I mean, if he just barely went wide on the Blade of the Ruined King, he would have got the double proc and taken down Paulson. So you can understand that. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to pick up. I think Paulson had a shutdown before that kill. So yeah, I mean, XL in a little bit of disarray, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, looking scattered right now. This is worrying because we had a chat with Hatrix last week, and you know he was pretty open about the fact that they'd taken some time off after EU Masters to relax, and I think they'd earned it. They'd had a bloody good split. They'd had a great EU Masters run, but they are really struggling to return to form.
Yeah,
and we could genuinely see a bunch of different teams making it through the playoffs. I think we have a whole bunch of teams who are actually looking very good right now in the tournament. Nordavind obviously did get completely crushed by Fnatic in the game earlier on in the day, but at the same time, they were at the beginning of the day 1 loss behind Fnatic. I think there's so many teams that look good. Singularity look like they've started to find some form. Trick themselves here, looking absolutely great. I think we have a really good group of teams that could be honestly looking towards playoffs and a decent run in playoffs and potentially a finals run. We might see for the first time in a very long time a non-XL Fnatic finals, because we had teams that are looking great and it's really on XL to prove us wrong there.
Yeah. I
think Fnatic are doing a good job.
They are. And
I'm going to underline that with just saying Fnatic have looked like they've started to find their form again compared to last season.
I will say it's, it's not entirely overreact, right? It's not like XL are all of a sudden a terrible team. It's just the expectations we have for them. The standards are quite high coming out of such a successful EUM run.
Yeah,
and it's more looking towards the future, right? Because at the end of the day, if they were to attend EUM again in the current NLC form that they're in, it probably wouldn't be pretty.
I mean, this is the exact same XL roster we had from last season. Same roster, but made it second in EU Masters. And let's be real, this is the weakest we've ever seen them, this entire roster. This is not a particularly great form from them at the moment. They've looked very, very lost. And Trictor, they're not giving them the opportunity to come back into this game. The goal lead, not massive, but it does feel like XL, they're playing reactively. They're playing to the beat of Trick's drum right now.
Yeah. And for Trick,
would you say, let's go back to the game that they drafted last week, where they drafted a team that looked, well, it was hard to execute, to be honest. They had a team comp that was way harder to execute than the enemy team. Do you think maybe that's what this is? Maybe they're still experimenting here, or?
I mean,
it's always... This seems not overly hard to execute. What are you making?
I mean, I don't think this is a hard to execute team comp in the grand scheme of things. I think this is a pretty on-meta team comp, if I'm honest with you. Where the execution thresholds are low, you've got multiple engage options, albeit not a whole bunch of initial hard CC outside of the Leona, but this is the kind of composition where, sort of coming into the NLC, you heard a lot of the analysts here saying these are the kind of compositions that are the strongest, right? You've got engage tools, you've got things that just make the opponent's life really difficult to navigate when it comes to skirmishes and team fights, but I don't think execution is necessarily the issue here. In this game right here, I think Tricked are just playing it better. I think Tricked have a really strong draft into what XL are running, and they've been playing to the conditions a bit stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Now, still a way away from any soul coming up, but the dragon is spawning. This will be the second one for Trick, the third one for XL if they're able to get it. They've now got the Serpent's Fang on Deadly, so they have got some ability to deal with Madly and the shields coming from him. But, I mean, we're looking at a Tristana with Phantom Dancer, Kraken Slayer, building towards that Infinity Edge. We have seen Storm Razor, but I feel like this is definitely going to be an Infinity Edge build here.
Should be. I don't think it's going to be Storm Razor. I
remember quite clearly you calling it not good.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Storm Razor is just the weak item right now.
Yeah, no. You remember when it first came out and it was broken as hell?
Yeah, I think there's only there's very few champions that can actually use Storm Razor. Like, okay, when you stack it up against the other options, like it's.
Who do you think the champions are? Just out of curiosity. While we're in a lull.
I mean, it used to be Caitlyn, but Caitlyn's not champion again at the moment.
Yeah.
Like Tristana was one of those champs, obviously, but again, when you're talking about the free stats that PD gives you, plus obviously your mythic into an IE, the Storm Razor just can't stand up to that.
Yeah.
Jin, back in the day when you'd run something like a rapid fire cannon.
Mate, all you've done so far is I asked you who's good with it now, and all you've done is list champions that were good with it.
Well, look, that's the thing. There's just not champions I think that are good with it right now. I have to talk in the past. I don't know what you expect of me sometimes, Jake.
I expect greatness.
Okay.
I know you're capable of it.
All right. That's very kind of you, actually. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's true.
I very rarely get compliments out of Jake, guys, so I'll take them.
That's a lie. That is a big old lie. I never give compliments. Barely. What are you talking about?
But Tricked here, I mean, still low. There's nothing really to do on the map except just secure positioning, slowly try and strangle XL out of vision, but the gold leader's slowly closing. Actually, it was about 3,000, and now here we go.
Baby. Looking for a kill on to the Jace as the slam comes down. Paulson goes back and Hatrix is there. Arome steals the form and he flashes to safety, but everybody else is coming in. Here comes the cavalry. Arome goes invisible, tries to sustain for everything, but Demboxny almost gets taken out as Hatrix looks to go in. A double kill for Demboxny, and XL equalize the Baron. They are looking to burst through it, but it's a Jin.
It's a Jin with a Serpent Fang second item. They can't. They just don't have the damage.
They have no equalizer now.
I mean, typically, the time that you'd want to do a Baron is if your AD carry has 2 items, in my opinion. That's normally when the AD carry has enough DPS to burn through a Baron quite early on, unless you've obviously got a situation where there's just no champions on the enemy team up. But Jin is one of the worst Baron takers in the game until you're talking about executing it with a 4th shot. And he's got a Serpent's Fang second item, so it's just not enough. And again, XL, I think making the correct play to try and burst down the bomb site. Oh, they're looking for it now.
Solar Flare's going to go a little bit wide. Here is the teleport. The equalizer is fabulous. Dembox is being cooked. Dodges way on the deadly flourish. His tax is going low. Pulsar's joined into the fray here. XL's health bars are low. The curtain has been called. Demboxy dodges 1. The second shot's hitting up by Lucky. And the 4th shot's Madly. They're not going to be able to find themselves the kill. XL force them away. And maybe now they look to rush to the Baron. They've got the wards in the pits. They need to take these out. They're on top of the vision. So they know this is going on. It's going to be a little bit quicker now. The rest of the team are here. But Lucky's coming in. The backup is here. The teleport's coming in. And Tricked are looking to stop them. Instant ultimate coming out from Hatrix into the backline. Avian joins in as well. Deadly trying to fire over the wall. Polson gets a big shield off, but Deadly able to find the kill. Arome stealing forms and jumping out to safety. He's got the shot blast. Madly dodges away. XL will be happy with that one in a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it's about the best they can really hope for other than actually, I guess, just cleaning out the entire fight without Demboxny there. But I think Tricked, just with the karma, is enough to keep these members alive. And I mean, this is the kind of play that I feel like BTXL needed to be making throughout a majority of this early to this mid-game sort of transition and into late. They have to put pressure onto Tricked. They have to consistently make them panic, make them kind of flurry like this. Otherwise, quite frankly, the Tricked composition is just going to sit there and eventually outscale in the sense of being able to put down all these big shields and kind of dissuade any of these engages. And the replays on our screen kind of showing the kind of pressure that BTXL with this composition are capable of putting down. And once the reset starts to come through, without Demboxny there, Tricked don't really have much of a leg to stand on. So again, it's about key target selection for BTXL. It's about putting pressure onto Tricked to make sure that they're constantly having to make snap-second decisions. But they've just not really been able, they've not been doing it until now.
Yeah. And XL once again trying their hand at the Baron. They keep testing it.
This is good. Bring Tricked
into you.
Bring Tricked into you, and that's when you can find these successful flanks. Look at all the vision, all the fog that Tricked have to check into.
Just get spotted out, but they are slowly but surely making their way forward as Avian instantly gets spotted. They look to jump in. The paranoia's on. Equalizer once again laid down. This time not quite as impactful. They jump in straight onto the backline. The Solar Flare lands onto a couple of members. The Deadly pulls out the curtain call. Shots are going a little bit wide. It looks like the team will be able to tank this one up. XL this time not able to find their punish, but not losing any lives.
Yeah, but again, still trying to bring in the most successful way that you're likely to win a team fight is still the best option for me from BTXL. Just try and force Tricked into you, because at the end of the day, the Tricked composition kind of wants to run backwards. I mean, it can go forward. It's a very versatile comp, don't get me wrong. But when you're talking about into BTXL's comp, it wants to go backwards. It wants XL to run into them.
This is a little scary. They're looking at 4 Infernal Soul right now. That's a lot of AD.
It is.
I don't think Tax is going to be able to survive a 1v1 with Arome, but he does got the backup, but there's a great equalizer to slow him down momentarily. Heartbreaker going to stick to him for the moment. They're coming in, and Demboxny is unstoppable. He is taking names right now. Arome's under fire, and it's a double kill for Demboxny. XL are scattered right now. No mid laner, no top laner, no jungler. They have got Hatrix, they have got Deadly, but no real ultimates, and I think XL, this is just going to be the Baron. They've been trying it for so long, but Tricked able to catch them off guard and take out the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, Trick are just playing this so superbly. BTXL don't have options on the side lanes anymore to actually try and pick people up. Trick have been grouping up for a very long time now. So BTXL, they try their hand at the Baron, they try and bring Trick into them, which I think at that point in the game is the best thing they can do. They can try and bring Trick into them to, you know, try and alleviate the pressure of having to walk forward into all of the shielding and healing. This is an old replay, so I'm just going to talk over it. Here
we are.
The correct fight where Arome, he tries to find Taxa and the equalizer comes down, but look at the damage from Deadbox. They just, yeah, Markoon disappears and Arome nowhere left to run. Does have flash, I believe, but just doesn't even blow it, or maybe it was just coming off cooldown as
Oh, hello.
BTXL, they're looking for a death brush, but I don't know if this is the brush you want.
They've been spotted. They've been jumped here. They got paranoia's on. Equalizers down. Stopwatches are being used, and they're trying to jump in. Tricked are now reversing backwards, trying to buy some space. Excel's health bars are low. The resets are coming in, but the shutdown's there as well. Deadly finding one. Arome is stealing forms. It's a double kill, though. Already picked up. It's back and forth. Deadly's low. Deadly's all alone. It's a triple kill. It's going to be an absolute whitewash as a quadra kill and an ace comes through for Trick, and they might just have done it. They might just have taken XL out here.
Arome almost comes up huge, but Paulson comes up bigger with the quadra kill on the Jace. And quite frankly, full round of applause for Trick because they have played this game spectacularly. The compositional diff, I think, was just too much for VTXL. Once they couldn't get the ball rolling, there's too much shields, too much utility, too much mobility, realistically, for BTXL to handle. They couldn't lock down key targets on a consistent basis, and they were punished for it from about 10 minutes into the game onwards. Advian, sad boy Leona, giving up his life. Trick take down BTXL in a very convincing manner.
XL looked lost and Trick came ready to play. That was an absolutely superb game by Trick. Punishing XL when they went for these proactive plays, and ultimately XL were not ready for it. They fell behind, and Trick did not give them the opportunity to come back. Absolutely flawless game by Trick, and this really is going to start to shake things up now. XL have 2 losses in our 3rd week here of the NLC, and that's something they really don't want to be dealing with. It's going to be a rough one, but we are going to throw ourselves to a break. I'm not going to let Jamada talk. I think it's time for the analyst test to break that down, so we'll see you in a moment.